I want to start with Anton Chekhov, very famous quote, that is, knowledge is no power until you put it into practice. That's correct actually, but I just want to, I'm going to make it a little bit modified and say knowledge is no power until you disseminate it in correct way. Because even though we know, if you don't disseminate our knowledge to the others, not only to the, peers in the field, but also to the public generally, it has no power. And first, we will see, why do you want to market research? Why do you want to market your research? Basically, you want researchers to read your paper and use your findings to inform their own research. That is the main purpose of researchers actually, because they just want to read their papers and use their findings to inform their own research. Or otherwise, they want to change public opinion about something or change societal behaviors. And also they want to change how people do something because you have found a better way. If you have found a better way from your study, so then you want something changed. Some opinions changed. The way that they are currently working should be changed. And the other thing, they want people to share in your excitement over what you have just find out. And also more people to work in your area or increase your professional network. That's also, one of the main objectives. So these are the reasons that they do have, for marketing their research. But in the inception, basically, we need to have 3 steps. The first thing is, the strategy. That is very important. I don't want to talk about strategy to, the researchers, because, everybody must have a strategy. If they want, carry out research studies, and if they want, publish their research studies later, and they know how to, strategize it. And the second step is, and they need to determine how committed they are. You need to determine how committed you are, and also get involved. And lastly, if you want more people to find your work, think about your audience first and who they are, what they are interested in. Once you know who they are, think about how to reach them. So that is basically, what you need. You could also look at the strategy that the other researchers in your field are using. For an example, you may install Allmetric bookmarklet, and then you can navigate to a paper in your field and click on Allmetric Donut. This will give you details about where members of the public are discussing that paper. Use similar channels to promote your work, and I'll show you how to do that later. And also, some social media channels require a lot of times. That's why I told you, and we have to determine how committed we are. For an example, before you begin, engaging with social media, you need to think about, can I commit for the questions that they're asking? For an example, using Twitter means that you will need to tweet several times a day. If you don't have enough time, so then of course, the people will forget about it. And before you begin, work out how much time you are willing to devote to the channel that you have chosen. And this is, the bookmarklet for researchers. Actually, you can go and you can find out, whatever the things that we can use for marketing your studies, and how, other researchers have done for market their studies. So you can click this, the Allmetric Donut, and then you can be a member there and, discuss, all these things in proper way. With whom do you want to share your research? It's not just, only with, the peers. So you want to, share your research with the public or students, basically university students and policymakers and other scientists, that is, the peers, or other scientists in other disciplines, and another particular group that might benefit from it. If you want to market your research, I mean, basically research communicators change their perspectives to specific audience by putting yourself into audience shoes and asking what might others want to know about your research and why. And we can choose the appropriate language, format, and context. I mean, if you want, reach out there. Some questions that you need to ask: who they are, what do they do, what do they already know about it, and how do we tackle them? That kind of things actually. For an example, I mean, if you are targeting researchers, basically researchers in related areas would like to know whether your method is rigorous and the results are sound, and whether you have made a useful contribution to the subject discipline, or otherwise they won't cite your paper. And if you are targeting policymakers, who they are? Who are the policymakers? Basically, policymaker is a broader term actually. I mean, encompassing all people involved in formulating, developing, or amending policies. And it can include elected politicians, they are so-called advisors, civil servants, and so on. Basically, policymakers can quickly become familiar with the complex issues and topics, even ones which they do not specialize in. However, they need clear, accurate, and concise information, and they don't have enough time to spend, go around and here and go around and go here and there. Policy can move very quickly, so policymakers usually do not have time to consider a lot of detailed evidence. So focus on highlights and key takeaways and practical impacts what you have done. And according to the audience, I mean, your findings, I mean, the communication will be different, and the way that you talk to the other scientists in your field is entirely different from when you talk to the people in the public. So think about who are your audience. And there are two main strategies for marketing research, basically. One is creating professional profiles, networks, and the second one is media networks. And media networks basically has two parts. One is conventional media, the other one is social media. Conventional media in the sense, I mean, you can use press releases and normal newspapers and magazines, but social media is entirely different, Facebook and all. And even, these kind of things can be used for promoting your research. And if I want to talk about professional profiles and networks, basically, there are many opportunities for researchers to stand out from the crowd. And you should have different scholarly profiles. For an example, OSIT. I don't think that I need to talk about OSIT here, but I think everybody knows about it. And Google Scholar, the other example. This will allow others to find you even if you change your name or institution, because it's unique. Usually, scientists are willing to publish their research, but they are often hesitant to promote them. So that is, what we have seen over the last, over the last, decades. When I'm engaging in this librarianship, but I know, that they want to publish their research in prestigious journals, but they don't want to, promote their research after that. Researchers with reputation basically, usually feel that promoting their research is a kind of being, some sort of, the shameless effect, in end of year. But there is nothing wrong with the promoting research. It should be encouraged. Many groundbreaking pieces of work are unknown by people because the researcher made no effort to promote, or even sometimes they don't publish. So, it's not the shameless activity actually. The promoting research, even self-promotion is needed actually, and researchers should concentrate on that specific area too. What I feel. Why marketing your research particularly important to academics or the researchers? Promoting your research online is vital if you need to provide evidence of the research and potential broader influence of your work, especially when you are applying for promotions and tenure, and we need to show them. And I mean, how you are capable for that particular position or the tenure, I mean, position. And even, the research fundings, the many funding agencies ask, your research profile and that kind of thing. So it's very important. For basically, I mean, we use many quantitative methods for showing that, we have, the very good online profile. For that perspective, actually, researchers use citation counts based on some matrices. One example is Clarivate's impact factor and H-index. H-index, which respectively evaluate journal quality and also the prestige of the researchers. And in addition to that, there are many things. I mean, many other quantitative methods that we can use. For an example, category normalized citation impact, field weighted citation impact, mean normalized citation scores. There are many things that we can show. But what about social visibility, social media visibility? All metrics measure the attention given to your research via such social media networks. This may include likes, tweets, downloads, mentions, and other recognized, things, the records within reference managers. That all metrics basically, if I want to, get it more clarified, the all metrics basically check how many tweets, how many likes you had, how many tweets you had retweeting, or the downloads you had, and how many mentions you had in the different blogs and all. So they count all these things and show how what your prestigious, how prestige you are. And in practice, basically all metrics look at how many times research is mentioned, used, or saved, or shared on. In blogs, social media like Twitter, Facebook, Google, social book marketing services like Mendeley, like YouSite, and video services like YouTube, Vimeo, and other online platforms, Wikipedia, GitHub. And you can find all metrics embedded in databases such as Scopus, even Biomed Central, and even the Wiley Online. Because nowadays, when you go to these databases, you can find, that all metrics has been embedded into, very prestigious databases even. And to showcase how prestige you are. So you can use it, to show them not only, basically, the citation matrices that we are currently using, but also, how, our work has been disseminated to the other people, including general public. And it, basically, they use these sources to find out, how many times your article has been mentioned in the post and all places. And one example I have, put it over here, and it's Elsevier's journal. And can you see that all metric donut over here? And it has given 206, score. So it indicates that the researcher has some sort of, credibility in social media too. And the other thing, scientific conventions, seminars, and colloquiums, actually, I don't need to talk about that. Everybody knows about these things, because that is, one of the reasons for conducting research, especially when they are considering disseminating. And but when you are trying to do research, why don't you, do word leading research that is very original, significant, and rigorous? Then, of course, it's very easy to publish. It's very easy to market, and you will get, many number of citations. And also, you can collaborate with highly cited, preferably international co-authors, and then you will have automatically get, high credibility. and publish in the most visible journal or conference or with a publisher with a significant market reach. That's also very important. And also choose a very good article title. That is also, very important, because majority of the article titles that we have seen recently, I mean, not in prestigious journal databases, journals, but in, the other journals that, we can't determine actually what is going to talk about even. And also write a long abstract to improve the visibility. And publish open access where possible. And judicious self-citation may kickstart interest in your work, but the problem over here, if you are oversighting it, people won't recognize you. That's very important actually. But self-citation is all right, but don't do it in too much. If you have money, publish your article in open access journals. That is very important, because open access journal everybody can access. There is no limitation. Researchers, especially researchers with limited resources, will always select and even cite actually open access option first compared with pay to view articles. And however, a manuscript has to promise significant value before an investment of a certain amount of dollars can be justified. For an example, if you want to publish it in open access journals, sometimes you need to spend money for it, because the publishers are asking money from your end. So you have to justify it, and you have to check whether you do have enough money for it. And furthermore, open access electronic journals may be better than traditional journals, because they do have wider wider audience. But be aware of the difference between open access and free to access. And especially, I just read about the publication policies of each and every journal, and see what their policy is. And open access basically include money, but free to access, we don't need to spend money actually. It's anybody can publish. So we need to select whether the open access is free to access, or really it's genuine open access. Database, and select one of the best journals in the field actually, and I don't want to talk about this too much actually, because everybody knows publish your articles in prestigious journals will carry more prestige, and also you will have many citation counts for your work. And establishment of university research centers, I think all universities do have research centers. One of the main initiatives of the research centers, is dissemination of knowledge through one or more outlets, such as publishing in premier scholarly journals and trade-related magazines, publishing books, book chapters and monograph, organizing academic practitioner conferences, and holding seminars for both faculty and doctoral students, and offering workshops for research scholars and managers. So these are the basic objectives of research centers in universities. I'm not sure whether all these objectives are put into action, but basically in research centers around the world actually, they do have these kind of objectives, and they are doing that. They are promoting your piece of work. And what about academic social media sites? I have put here one figure, and that was a survey with 3,000 scientists, and it was conducted by Nature actually, scientific engineers and in America. And majority of the researchers have heard about Google Scholar, but they have never heard about other things. For example, academia.edu, OSCE, Mendeley, I mean, we can see, especially science, even in the science and engineering field. And forget about social science, arts and humanities. But, so compared to science and engineering, social science people are much better actually. But majority of the people, they're not heard about even, whether they can disseminate their research findings through Twitter, ResearchGate, Mendeley, OSIT. This is the actual profile, and it gives some ideas about what we have to think more carefully. Even in 2014, there was a survey conducted by the University of Michigan, and approximately 60% of the researchers engaged in the media, social media, said they have not heard about academia, even Microsoft Academic Search, Mendeley, and that kind of things. So this is the situation not only in Sri Lanka but also in the other countries too. And one of the academic social media site is ResearchGate. I think many of us know ResearchGate because it's mandatory in some universities to create your profile in ResearchGate as well as in Google Scholar. And ResearchGate is free to join, and currently it has about more than 3 million users. And one of the benefits that we can get from ResearchGate, we can share anything from negative results to raw data of full-fledged publications, subject to copyright clearance, and also create project or add an update to your existing project and ask a question or give another researcher a helpful answer and follow the other researchers. There are many things that we can do in ResearchGate and also academia.edu. Academia.edu is a platform for research academics to share research papers, and and they have the good how do I call it, good news feed. Then you can get news from the other researchers in that particular field too. And I have put on a screenshot of academia.edu, and researchers can use this to promote their scholarly work. But the issue over here, publishers are very worried about what these sites are. Even academia.edu and even ResearchGate. This is really a part of the wider battle where academics want to share their papers freely online, whereas publishers want to keep content behind the paywall to and to monetize it. But that is the big problem here. In late 2013, Elsevier sent 3,000 notices to academia and other sites under the US Digital Millennium Copyright Act, demanding that they take down papers for which the publisher own copyright. So that is the issue. But first, when we are posting, before we posting our research to this kind of social media networks, we need to check what that particular journal's policy regarding copyright. Because for an example, I know personally, people can publish preprints and nobody can prevent it. Preprint is not the final version of your article, and sometimes you can have some summaries even, and nobody can stop it from posting summaries and all. And the other one, register for an OSID ID, Open Researcher and Contributor ID. That's a unique digital identifier. And the many publishers and as well as funders now need your OSID IDs to see how prestige you are in that particular field. And this is the the OSID ID. I put on a screenshot of it, and I think many of you know what the importance of OSID ID is actually. Basically, publishers, grant funders, and association collect OSID IDs at submission and integrate your output into your profile. And also the data providers including Crossref, Scopus, and MLA International Bibliography populate OSID ID profiles. And researchers can control what material is in public or private available, only to trusted party. You can make it available only to trusted parties even. And institutional repository, many universities do have institutional repositories, and you can publish your preprints or abstracts or whatever in institutional repositories. And I'll show you, one institutional repository, what we have over here, University of Kalani Digital Repository. We do have, the many articles, many publications, many abstract in different fields, and you can visit and see, how important they are. And because all the articles in the institutional repositories are indexed in Google Scholar, so you may get a lot of citation if you can put some sort of post in digital repositories and publish your data even. And I don't see the people over here publish data. That is very important, especially the researchers, those who want to carry out meta-analysis. They need the research data. But if you do have the research data, publish it and put it into a repository, enabling other researchers to use them and find out. Do the replicated studies, because early research indicates that the papers published alongside their data set are more highly cited than those that are not. Publishing your data gives readers two routes in your research and also improves the reproducibility of your research. That's very important. And replicational studies as well as the meta-analysis, people need others' data. So that is one of the reasons for getting the more and more attention for Western researchers, because they actually market their studies, market their research. They publish their research articles and they use social media networks as well as they publish their data. And deposit your data. I'm not going to talk about it actually, but basically you need to familiarize yourself with publishers' policy on making your data available, because some publishers mandate the deposit of data in a repository or archives. For an example, Elsevier and then the Public Library of Science PLOS. And I have shown here two renowned scientists, Edward Reed and Stephen. And Edward is saying my H index is bigger than yours. But Stephen says, but more people know who I am. So what do you need actually? Whether we need a higher H index, or whether we need to get popularized among the public. So we need both actually. So that is the reason that promoting research or marketing your research is very important. Promoting your work via social media, many journals have social media strategy, and I know some of the Elsevier journals, they do have social media strategy, and everybody should write lay summaries, and everybody should write. Everybody should do small how do I call it actually? A video, promotional video. So that is very important. Then they post these things on social media networks and get colloquial. The other thing, the language of the research papers and scientific word and technical manuscript is not what the average reader is used to seeing in their field. That's also very important. Only the people, those who are in the particular field, can understand what we are trying to say, but majority of the laymen, they can't understand what we are trying to say. This puts any researchers looking to a bridge that divide in a useful position. Much of what makes the world of academia and research inaccessible to the general public because of the language and because of the format or because of money. So many journals and other publications have strict formatting and style requirements for submission, but social media presents an opportunity for you to translate research into science stories and in summaries, whatever you want. But what you need, you want to, bring your message to the public. And the people, those who need, more reading, you can link your actual article which has been published in a journal, and the people, those who are interested in it will go and, see, and they will, use them for citations too. Make sure that any research article you post on your public media, social media platform, contain an engaging caption or colloquial summary. That's also very important. Colloquial summary. And visuals. Visuals are very important because, you can use snipping tools to show, a part of your article, and you can create and, share infographics, memos, and, GIFs, visualizing data tools to help create innovative visuals, representation of data. And there are, many avenues for that, not GOAT and, the data hero and all. And I have put here, data hero, and you can, just, go to the site and see how can you do it. For an example, I want to say, not only in, in visualizing forms, actually, in visualizing in the sense, the video or something, but, according to Astradamus, and they tells a story of search for gravitational waves through combination of dance, multimedia, sound, and computer simulations. And I know, recently they have introduced annual dance for PhD contest. It started in, I think, 2007 and sponsored by Science Magazine, and then the scientists, and then even asked scientists to interpret their PhD research as dance. So this is what is happening actually, because it brings, many attention rather than just, putting our words in text. Because, the humans are being of language, but we are also visual beings. So that is the reason. Press release. A press release is a document that is sent to media highlighting a news story or research that could make a good news article. Before submitting, actually, you may, before publishing your article in a journal, you can have, press releases, what you are going to do, what you are going to publish. That's very important. Work with your university's research office to develop and distribute a press release to media outlets. One of the most important items in preparing press releases actually is to distill your findings to one statement and explain why they are significant. Why they are significant and why they are significant to the public specifically. This will be the lead paragraph of the press release and used to attract attention in the crowded information marketplace. Many scientific magazines, many scientific journals now produce press releases to encourage journalists working with news media to bring material they contain to wider audience. That's very important. But important thing is, you need to think of the embargo period, because you can't you can't publish, you can't do all these things without getting support from your publisher. When issuing a formal press release, journals and institutional press office usually set embargo period. For an example, during this embargo period, published articles cannot be made freely available without charge. However, journals may choose to impose an embargo period for subscription articles that are not freely available. For an example, basically, in science and engineering field, they don't allow you to popularize it with at least within 6 to 12 months. But in social sciences and humanities, it's 12 months. And you need to think of that. And since I don't have enough time actually, so I just want to limit my presentation only to the lay summaries here, and then we can go for question and answers. And lay summary is very important actually, but majority of the researchers in Sri Lanka, they don't, they don't write lay summaries. That's, the very, very pathetic situation. A lay summary is a summary outlining what your research is about and why it is important. Many researchers find it useful exercise to distill the key findings and significance of their research into a form of a layperson can understand. It's incorrect to assume that only people interested in reading academic literature or research studies are researchers. Today, more and more people, even non-researchers, are interested in learning about the development ushered in through research and understanding how these development affect the people, the wider audience, in areas like especially climate change, medicines, in therapies for patients, and that kind of thing. So lay summary or impact statement, sometimes we call it impact statement. That's a very efficient way of conveying the essence of your article briefly and clearly. Fundamentally, what we are aiming to produce is a short paragraph outlining the article content, aimed at non-specialist in particular in your area, non-specialist. Some journals request lay summaries as a key part of the publication because they just want to bring your message to the general public. Many of these focus on a specific audience like teachers, educators, and and the people and the clinicians. Not only the clinicians but also the people those who are supporting the clinicians. Even they don't understand what kind of jargons that you have used in your research paper. So we need to put them in. Into a form where everybody can understand. Put together a short video at least, or summarizing your work and sharing it via websites such as websharescience.com. And we can use these kind of things to market your study, not only for getting more and more citation, but you want to get popularized in the community. And if you don't bring your findings to the wider community, especially to the policymakers, so we can't expect good impact from your study. So that is the reason why marketing is very, very important. In Sri Lanka, I am very happy now the new government has taken an initiative with the University Grant Commission to bring all the the summaries, lay summaries of the research carried out recently to the parliament, because they just want to strictly adhere to evidence-based policy making. And I think something will happen. If we can bring our findings for policy making, policy decisions too, making policy briefs too. And thank you very much for paying your attention towards my presentation. Actually, I do have many slides, but I couldn't control the time. I'm sorry about it, but anyway, I'll make it available for you all. Then of course, you can go through it and ask questions if you do have, even at later stage. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Jayasuriya. Before we move on to questions, you said it's okay to share the presentation. Can we share the recording of the webinar with the participants?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the questions. We have time till 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Do you have any questions actually? But it's bit, I use, some of the technical jargons over here. I don't know, whether everybody could understand, some of the jargons that I used over here. But anyway, if you do if you have, some complications regarding what I talk, just, just drop me an email. I'll, or just, talk to me at any time. I'll just explain, what they are really and what can we do for promoting our research. Any questions?
There is a question, I think, from a participant. By putting a lay summary, will it affect to getting a patent?
I can't hear you correctly. So,
I'm Tusita. I'm just reading a post from one of
okay.
the participants.
Okay.
They have put a question. Bulanjali, guest is asking, by putting a lay summary, will it affect getting a patent? I think it can affect getting a patent if you disclose all your information. If the lay summary is in the lay language, probably it may not affect, but you need to be careful.
Yeah, we need to be careful actually, but it will, they have some sort of effect of patent. I mean, that's why actually, before, jumping into that kind of things, we need to, read the, especially, forget about patent actually. If you want, publish it in a journal, we need to, read very carefully policies, journal policy, because some, journals, they don't allow even lay summaries before publishing the articles. But once they publish the articles, the lay summaries are all right actually. And it doesn't have, any legal barrier to publish lay summaries. But, but very, very important to, read the policy, journal policy to know whether that kind of things are allowed.
Can you see the Dr. Sundara? There are questions in the, they are right in the chat room. Do you read it or?
Professor Dusita, I'm not, very much familiar with Microsoft Teams because, we are very fond of, Zoom. So I don't know how to do all these things in the correct way.
Okay, don't worry, I'll read. Dimutu is asking, Dimutu Anurag is asking, you have mentioned that our data can be published. So before published, how we need to modify it in a standardized way? Do you have any suggestions?
So what do you mean by, a modification actually? And what kind of, modification that we need to do to the original data set? Basically, a data set should be the data set that what we have collected. Actually, a modification cannot be done. That's not acceptable because but if you feel that the one part of your, one part of your data set should be posted, that can be done, but that should be worthwhile. Otherwise, nobody can use this data set for meta-analysis or, or for replicated studies. So that is the that is the problem.
On behalf of Dimutu Anurag, I will ask a question from you, Dr. Jayasundara. Can you give some examples of the places where they can publish these data sets? I thought it is mainly for humanities management, like research work.
And one example, madam, you can go to NHS actually. That National Health Service in UK, actually, they do have that repository, and we call it repository, data repository. You can find, the example of, the data repositories, from the internet even. There are many places where we can, put our data too, even though we don't have it. But best thing what I suggest, all these repositories should be maintained by the research office in the university itself, rather than, allowing, rather than, posting our data set in, the general, general repositories. NHS do have, their repository. Even we can, get information. Even when I did my masters, I got the data from NHS, and they do have a repository. But we need to, sign for an agreement and some sort of, ethical clearances. But there were no restrictions for it.
Mashrufa is asking, I asked that question, Mashrufa, already. We can share the slides, and the speaker said we can send the recording as well. Any other questions? All are thanking you, Dr. Jayasundara. A lot of thank you notes from a lot of people.
Madam, I just want to tell you something actually, because this is a very complicated topic, and the many of the participants can't understand even, and within 30 minutes period of time. If we can have some sort of workshop, for one day, then of course we can practically show them what we can do, and what we can, what are the, the data repositories we do have, what kind of modifications that we can have. So what are the policies for, promoting research or social media, that kind of things. I don't know whether it's possible for, your office to do that kind of things, but I don't think that, 30 minutes is not really enough for discussing all these issues. At least, at least a glance of, work, what we can do.
Yes,
Rather than, we can't do, any in-depth analysis. That is the problem.
yes, I completely agree with you. The thing is, this is just what we are supposed to do this year is sort of giving an idea of things that we need to do to enhance the publication trends. Maybe next year we can organize,
Yes.
something, a detailed discussion, but there again, we may have to go for webinars because
Aha.
there are a lot of, if you take the research assistants, we have a large number. And the other thing is that some people find it difficult to travel. So, what are your views on organizing webinars but longer time duration, perhaps next year?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Will that work? You think using a webinar, you can use, you can browse and you can show them if we do
Exactly.
some.
Exactly.
How long do you need? Now that we have no more questions, we can.
I think, we must have at least, 1.5 hours.
1.5.
Yes.
So we will get the
1.5 hours for the presentation only, actually, but, the people can ask questions, 30 minutes more. 2 hours for the, the complete session.
Any more questions? We will get the views from the participants as well. Ashani is writing, thank you for information, sir, and please organize a suggested workshop. So we will try to organize it, but now today also we have 116 participants. More than 116, no? 125, and some are joining as groups. So if we
Okay.
organize a workshop, it's going to be a huge workshop. So I feel that the webinar may be more useful for those who are traveling from far, like Jaffna, Southeast,
Yeah.
Eastern.
I
Well,
understand.
yeah, but we will do more next year to
Okay.
help all the researchers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
We still have about 7 minutes more if you want to, before I move on to Dr. Satipan. Either you can use that time, Dr. Jayasundara, or if you want to